The frozen fronts of World War II were some of the harshest battlefields ever faced by human beings. Soldiers weren't just fighting each other, they were battling the unforgiving bite of winter, where temperatures dropped so low rifles froze, food turned to stone, and frostbite claimed limbs faster than enemy fire. Men trapped in icy trenches learned quickly that survival required desperate, even disturbing measures. Some of these hacks still sound unbelievable, but for the men who endured them, they meant the difference between staggering through another day or never waking up again. The first brutal hack was sleeping on beds of branches. On the Eastern Front, soldiers discovered that lying on bare frozen ground drained the life out of them in minutes. So they stripped pine and spruce branches from trees, layering them beneath their bodies as insulation. It wasn't comfortable. Needles stabbed through their uniforms, and the scent of resin clung to everything. But compared to the cold earth sucking warmth like a grave, the branches felt like salvation. But sometimes, even branches weren't enough. That's when some soldiers resorted to one of the most disturbing survival tricks of the war, using animal carcasses as shelter. Horses were the lifeblood of both German and Soviet armies, but when they collapsed in the snow, they became grisly shelters. Soldiers carved into the bodies, crawling inside the still warm cavity to shield themselves from freezing winds. The stench was unbearable, the act horrifying, but when snowstorms raged across the steppes, a dead horse could mean one more night alive. Imagine the choice, dignity or death. Many picked life. Another hack was urine-soaked socks, revolting but real. Some soldiers learned that urinating on their socks before pulling on their boots helped keep frost from forming. The ammonia created a crude layer of insulation. It smelled foul and it risked infection, but when your toes were blackening from frostbite, you didn't care how ridiculous or disgusting it seemed. Soldiers later admitted that this trick probably saved their feet, even if it left them reeking. Desperation didn't stop at socks. Men were often forced to burn anything they owned to stay warm. Fires were dangerous because they revealed positions, but in moments when survival outweighed stealth, soldiers tore apart wagons, burned rifle stocks, even sacrificed letters from home. Imagine staring at the last words your mother or wife sent you and tossing them into the flames because without fire, you'd be a corpse by morning. It wasn't just survival, it was sacrifice at its most gut-wrenching. When fires weren't possible, there was only one option left: body heat sharing. Soldiers pressed against each other in filthy trenches, huddled in groups like desperate animals. Pride vanished. Comfort didn't exist. They rotated in shifts, taking turns being in the warm center of the group, then moving to the outside when others needed it more. Some described it as humiliating. Others said it was the only reason they lived. In the frozen hell of Stalingrad, a man wasn't just your comrade, he was your lifeline. And then there was snow itself. The same element that threatened to freeze them also became a crude camouflage and shelter. Soldiers dug burrows into snowbanks, packing them tight to create insulating walls. Covered in snow, they blended into the battlefield, hidden from enemy fire. Some even stuffed snow into their boots, believing once it hardened, it provided a barrier against frostbite. The practice wasn't perfect. Many still lost toes or feet, but to them, snow was both killer and savior. These survival hacks weren't clever tricks you'd share around a campfire. They were desperate measures, born from the raw instinct to cling to life in one of history's most brutal wars. None of them were pleasant. Many were disgusting, humiliating, or outright dangerous, but they worked. And when you think about it, that's the dark truth of war. It's not just bullets, bombs, and bayonets that kill men. Sometimes it's the cold, the hunger, the sheer indifference of nature itself. And in those frozen trenches, survival wasn't about who had the best weapon or the sharpest strategy. It was about who was willing to endure the unthinkable, who could crawl inside a horse, burn the last letter from home, or cling to another freezing body just to make it through one more night. The frozen trenches of World War II remind us that survival doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it's brutal, sometimes it's humiliating, and sometimes It's so desperate that even decades later, it feels hard to believe men endured it at all.